16th, 2023 meeting of the Woodbridge Traffic Authority. Calling the meeting to order. First item on the agenda, the public comments. Is there anyone from the public that wish to be heard? Is there any correspondence that we need to address?
No.
First item on the agenda is the urban speed sign project. Chief?
Yep, so I'm working with UConn's Training and Technology Assistance Center. We're able to obtain 2 urban speed feedback signs. They're free of charge to the town, and we'll mount them on some of the local roads. Their signs are similar to the electronic signs that you've probably seen over by the community gardens on Beecher and by the high school and by Beecher Road School. The intention of the signs is to provide feedback to the drivers regarding their traveling speed in an effort to reduce traffic accidents. And it's all operated on a cloud-based software system that's maintained by UConn, and it has the capability to collect speed and volume data as well when we post it. So moving forward, we'll be working with Public Works to get the signs mounted at 2 locations yet to be determined, and they're also movable, so they can be relocated in the future. Second item, I just want to update you on the DOT project to make you aware that in connection with their 2023 construction season, Connecticut DOT is, as usual, planning to resurface various highways. In our jurisdiction, they notified us that they're going to be paving Amity Road, beginning at Walker Lane and then going north into Bethany. In conjunction with this, they'll also be installing centerline rumble strips on Amity Road, starting at Apple Tree Lane and going northbound right into Bethany. And centerline rumble strips that you've seen around town and on a lot of the other roads, they're a proven safety countermeasure that substantially reduces traffic accidents. So that'll be coming up. That'll be the continuation. I think it was last year, they paved from Walker Lane south to the Maiden Line, and now they're doing the other half going northbound. Also like to make the board aware that the second upcoming DOT project that they notified us of will be their installation of horizontal alignment warning signs on various roads throughout the various municipalities across the state. So this will involve their installation of yellow retro-reflective strips and sheeting on signposts that they have all along various curves in town to improve motorist awareness of the change in the roadway.
Chief, I'm sorry, just going back to the center line and the paving, did you say when they were going to do that?
No, they just said during the spring construction season, so they haven't given us the exact dates yet. But when I hear that out, they usually give us a heads up before, so they could coordinate traffic control and such, and I'll let you know. That'll impact our commutes for sure,
Yeah,
right?
amen.
And in town, as well as many others. And then just 2 other things. So towards the end of March and with the start of the warmer weather, we began receiving complaints about Amity High School students parking on Meetinghouse Lane and in the adjacent municipal building parking lots. Resulted in leaving not a lot of parking for employees and patrons that were coming to conduct business at Town Hall, the center, and the library. So the deputy chief has worked with the Amity School administration, with our school resource officer, and with our patrol officers and supervisors to resolve the off-campus parking problems as it applied to Meetinghouse Lane. And they kind of shifted a little bit over to some of the parking lots, the library. And so the deputy chief has a hand on that and working with the patrol division to address that. Anything you want to say to that, Ron?
Yeah, we received multiple complaints from the library director. Because once we were able to clear out Meetinghouse Lane, a lot of the students were parking in the library parking lot. But we've instructed some of our patrol officers early in the morning to be in that parking lot, and that seems to have curbed the problem.
I'll just say, as an Amity parent, the school did send out warning notices, which I appreciated, so they're putting the word out, which is good.
Yeah, I spoke to the principal there and working conjunctively. We took care of the problem.
Is there just an increase in the number of people driving, or is it like, did they use some parking space, reuse some parking space or something over there?
I believe that they give out a certain amount of passes to the seniors. And there are too many seniors that have no place to park.
And then just the last topic for the traffic authority was just an update to the Merritt Miles Manila Avenue situation. We addressed those concerns back at our February meeting, and as of April 28th, that whole area has been posted, reposted with new parking signs by Public Works. So we're good to go with that. And that's all for traffic.
I would gladly entertain a motion to adjourn the traffic.
Move it.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Discussion, all those in favor? Welcome to the Board of Police Commissioners. It is now 6:22. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We now have a quorum. So myself, Commissioner DeSier, and Commissioner Capel are eligible to vote. We're all present. Is there a motion to approve the Board of Police Commissioner meeting minutes from March 20th, 2023? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, amendments, changes? All those in favor? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, the public comments. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Any correspondence? Okay. Next item is the financial report.
So after completing the first 10 months of the fiscal year, we're right on track, and we're at approximately 82% of budget expenditure level. So that's good. There's some lines, pretty much the same lines that I've addressed at the most recent meetings that we've had, the past few meetings. The police overtime and dispatcher lines, they continue to be significantly affected. The dispatcher line, that overage, a lot of that was from before where we were short a dispatcher and had a dispatcher in training. That's leveled out now. That dispatcher has become part of minimum manpower staffing, so she's assigned on a shift. So we actually have 2 dispatchers on each shift now. So that will significantly reduce overtime for people being out with leave time and so on and so forth. In the police overtime line, as you can see, that is still up, and it has to do with vacancy and extended absences that I'll mention. And the other ones, same ones pretty much that we talked about before, data processing. That's up, but that's in conjunction with a lot of cybersecurity features that have been implemented. And the big one is the repair maintenance vehicle line. It's up to 160.1%, I believe. It's just the high mileages and cost of parts and repairs. But overall, we're at, like I said, 82%. And actually did just submitted a couple budget line transfers to the finance director that will help offset some of these higher ones from some other lines. That's all for the financial report.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll move it.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Our next item is the activity report.
Ready for the activity?
Yes, please.
So I'll put the 2 months of March and April together. So the criminal activity during those 2 months, some of the significant events included one assault investigation and involved the physical assault of a juvenile, and ISU and Beach Road School SROs worked collectively on that with DCF, and subject was arrested and charged accordingly. During the last 2 months, we had 5 burglary investigations. One was a daytime forcible residential burglary, and the other were 4 nighttime forcible commercial burglaries that we experienced. 3 family dispute investigations, one of which resulted in an arrest. 11 different fraud investigations of various types, including altered checks, fraudulent transactions, a fraudulent land transaction, fraudulent unemployment benefit claims, identity theft, things of that sort. 6 larceny investigations, including missing jewelry and items, finances from the residents and the business, catalytic converter theft incidents, one of which involved the perpetrator brandishing a firearm, which they pointed at the homeowner when he confronted them. And we had a missing person involving an elderly resident who suffers dementia, reported missing from his house at approximately 4 a.m. was when he was reported missing. And I'd gone to bed earlier, just before midnight, so it was unknown how long he had been gone. The residence was bordered by a lot of watershed and recreational properties, but he was located by the fire department. It was an ongoing search from police and fire and police came in, but he was successfully located. And then investigative services report. For March and April, the ISU assumed 24 new cases, 11 in March, 13 in April. They conducted 15 routine public fingerprinting requests and performed processing and background checks for 10 pistol permit applicants. They made 8 arrests from ongoing investigations. For 6 commercial burglary arrests were made, 1 electronic stalking arrest, and 1 residential burglary arrest. So those were all cleared. And that's all I have for criminal activity, and the deputy chief could report down traffic.
With regards to traffic activity, in March, our department made 107 motor vehicle stops, which was a 57% increase from our February numbers. We conducted radar speed enforcement on 360 occasions and deterrent traffic safety patrol 363 times. There were 25 accidents in March, which was a 4% increase from February. Our speed trailer was located on North Racebrook Road and Peck Hill Road during the month of March. In April, our department conducted 90 traffic stops, which was a 16% decrease from March. We conducted radar speed enforcement on 346 occasions and deterrent traffic safety patrol 351 times. There were 24 motor vehicle accidents in the month of April, which is a 4% decrease from March. Our speed trailer was located on Center Road, Round Hill Road, and on Beecher Road.
Any theories on why the reduction from the same periods of time in 2022? I think you're driving better now that you're way out from COVID, or because it's a considerable decrease.
She wants to know why it's lower than last year. Why there's a decrease.
So in the same 4 months in 2022, it's 525 versus 352, and for March it's 128 versus 107, and then April 206 versus 90.
That's probably look into that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Follow up with you. Yeah,
I
off the top of my
was
head, I don't have any.
just curious.
Yeah, I will follow up with you, though, definitely.
I do know that, I actually did crunch some numbers. Between 2021 and 2022. In 2021, we had 278 motor vehicle accidents throughout town. We had 332 in 2022, which was a 19.42% increase in 22.
For some reason, 2002 was quite busy. I was just looking at the traffic stops.
Oh, for traffic stops.
Traffic stops, 525 versus 352, 525 in 2022 and 352 in 2023 for the same first 4 months of the year. And for April, there were 206 in April of 2022, but 90 in April of 2023.
Yeah, last April, we were a big participant in the distracted driving campaign. And since this April, we didn't have a lot of officers volunteering, and we were short on manpower, so we only did 1 distracted driving assignment throughout the month of April. I think last year we did quite a few.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the activity report? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Bless you.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the report of the chief.
So, regarding our body worn and dashboard camera project, just a quick update on that. As I previously reported, back in January, we switched over to our new Axon, the body worn cameras. Most recently, during the last week of March, Axon had a crew of their technicians here on site at the PD, and they completed the installation of all the new dashboard cameras throughout our patrol fleet. Detective Iannucci worked closely with them as our technology liaison and was instrumental in making a seamless transition over to the new Axon cameras. So currently we've officially severed our ties with the old digital ally system, and we're fully outfitted and operational with the new Axon camera systems and the evidence submission portal through court. That's all in place, so we're good to go. That the body camera projects are all completed and operating well. Second item I want to talk about was the dispatch center renovation. Just a status update on that. Since I last reported, we've made significant progress in both the design phase and getting the multiple vendors in and on site to give us price quotes associated with moving the phones, the 911 system, the cameras, intercoms, the radio, everything. When we do renovate dispatch up in front, everything's going to be actually moved into this room here. So dispatch would be temporarily located here during that. The final specifications, design, and bid sets were recently completed by the project designer from the architectural firm Silver, Petroselli and Associates. And the finance director, we actually had a meeting this morning about this. The finance director will be putting the project out for bid in the next week or so, after which we'll schedule a walkthrough with the prospective contractors, and it's expected that the bid process will be closed towards the end of June, at which point we'll see where we stand and hopefully move forward from there. So that's all moving forward. And an update on our S2, the door access project. That project had began here finally last month. The initial start had been postponed for over a year or so due to pandemic-associated manufacturing and shipping delays of much-needed electronic parts and software components. The work's being done by JKS Security, and they're the same company that's installed a similar system throughout the other town buildings, the town hall, the center, and our other municipal buildings. The work is expected to be completed later this month. It'll have 14 of the 16 ports utilized, and the funding for the remaining 2 ports was removed from our budget request for this upcoming year, but we'll put it in for fiscal year 24-25 and hopefully finalize the project then. But once that's completed, it'll be quite an enhancement, not only to the the safety and security of our facility, but also with documenting and preserving all the operational integrity that goes along with prisoner detention and the storage of reports, criminal records, evidence, property. So, looking forward to getting that done. And the final topic was the Beecher Road School, the memorandum of understanding between the police department and the Woodbridge School District pertaining to our school resource officer at the Beecher Road School. It's due to be renewed at the end of this fiscal year. It renews itself annually unless there's a need for a change. And the only change we plan for this year is on the signatory page. Dr. Budd has since moved on, and his new superintendent is Superintendent Vonda Tenza. So the only change is her name on the last page there. And I did speak with her last week, and she's totally pleased with the relationship she has with school resource officer over there and the police department and how everything's going. So that's the only change. So we just need a signature on that from the chairman, so I can get that back to her. That's it for my reports.
Do you have a Word version of this MOU?
I believe so, yes, yeah.
There's just some typos in.
Okay, yeah, that came from that, but we could, make any corrections on it.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm sorry,
Okay.
this, and then I'll give
Yeah,
it back to you.
yeah, that's fine, if you edit out, I'll, have them make the changes or whatever you want on it.
Is there a motion to approve the report of the chief?
Move it.
And second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carries unanimously. Next item are the personnel matters.
Okay, the first topic I had was a report on extended absences. So our patrol officer who had been out on an extended medical leave since December was fully cleared for duty and returned back to work effective April 17th, which was great news for him and great news for the department. Currently, we have 2 supervisors out on extended absence. The first is a workman's comp related extended medical leave of absence, which started on March 27th. And that supervisor is anticipated to be out of work for the next 2 months or so, depending on how his progress comes along with that. And the second one is associated with an unanticipated medical issue, which occurred on April 21st. And the duration of his absence is uncertain at this point, but anticipated to be a couple of months. So, as we head into the busier, warm season, summer months now coming up, and with these 2 absences, coupled with the retirement vacancy we're trying to fill, posing us with some staffing challenges, and will continue to impact our overtime line, unfortunately, for the time being.
So how many active officers do we have
Right
active
now,
on duty now?
right now we're down 3, so from 23 we're down.
That includes AJ?
Yeah. So we're down. 3 down. And at our last meeting, having no, as far as hiring goes, at our last meeting, after having no successful new recruit candidates from the last round of the South Central Criminal Justice Administration regional testing process, we agreed to move forward in seeking a potential certified officer to hire. So I posted that job opportunity effective March 22nd, but unfortunately, thus far, we haven't received any applications from any Connecticut Post-C certified officers. And that's out on the on Police App website, Post-C website, the town website. We put it on our Facebook, put it out on social media. We're not alone with the shortage of applicants. It's statewide, it's nationwide, as I'm sure you've heard. But the reality is that there's not a lot of people applying, and those people that do apply, there are a lot of openings everywhere. So certified officer candidates, as long as they have a pretty good clean track record, and they're eligible for a lot of different departments. And unfortunately, we're somewhat on the lower side of the pay scale, and we no longer offer health benefits upon retirement. So that might be one reason we're thinking why we're not getting a lot of interest. I just want to share that, my concern is that with our staffing having been reduced by 3 officers over the past 3 years, we've been doing our best for the last couple of years, getting a job done with, from 26 to 23. But now with just 1 vacancy and 2 extended absences, we're now only operating with like 21 officers. So as I mentioned, during fiscal year 20, during our recent fiscal year 24 proposed operating budget, when the deputy chief ran the numbers, when we were operating in fiscal year 22 with 23 sworn, that left us with, at almost 1/3 of the time, 32.15% of the time, we only had two officers on the road at once. And additionally, 11% of the calls responded to during that time were calls that did require at least a 2-man response. So while they were tied up on those calls, there were no other officers available to respond to other calls, thus leaving the town unprotected in that regard. Unfortunately, for the second year in a row, our funding request for 1 additional officer, was not approved for this fiscal year. Will be beginning in July. So we're experiencing more and more incidents raising concern about public safety and officer safety. And and pretty much all due to our frequency of operating with only two guys on at once. Just since April 1st, in the last few weeks, we've had several issues that, that we've noticed and that our staff has also, certainly brought to our attention. At the beginning of April, on the 4th, on the evening squad, we had an incident where there was a vehicle that New Haven PD and the shooting task force was trying to stop through various towns, and stop sticks had been deployed, and long and short is, it ended up becoming disabled at Sony Road and Northrop Road area. A foot chase ensued. There was a firearm involved, and we were going through the residential area. And during that, we had only two officers working. Unfortunately, at the same time, while they were all tied up there, with that, we got multiple 911 calls of disturbance involving shoplifters down at the other end of town, down at the convenience store at 69 in the New Haven line, which actually escalated into a robbery. Our response was delayed, and those subjects all fled. The next night, same shift, the evening shift on the 5th, there were two officers working, and they were dealing with a mental health related issue. They were tied up significantly with that, and they were unable to respond for a while to a car accident down 69 in the New Haven line that was moved off the road. On the night of April 11th, we had two burglaries overnight, with only two officers on. Again, they were tied up at one of the burglaries at one of the commercial establishments. While they were there, shortly thereafter, they broke into another business down there and were able to steal the ATM. And then on the 11th, during the day, we had the catalytic converter theft, which a firearm was brandished, and there were two officers on during that. And then just the other day, on the 11th of this month, we had an incident down in the lower business area regarding a larceny. They attempted to take a subject into custody. He became violent. When they confronted him, they had to go hands-on and use a taser. Patrol car got dented by the gentleman banging the hood. And again, there were just two guys on. Luckily, one of the detective bureau cars happened to be in the area along with somebody else. So we just, want to make you aware. Later that same night, they had multiple calls of a fight down on lower Route 69. That night, we had 3 people working, but at the same time, while they were all tied up, we had an alarm come in at the other, couldn't be further away at the other end of town. A panic alarm. We had to reach out to Seymour PD to go cover that. We don't want to make a habit of that, because usually calling for mutual aid is for exigent circumstances, not for routine calls like that. So, compounding this even more is that now, as I mentioned, we have the guys out that are injured now, coming up to the warmer weather, and we also have several officers who are eligible to leave at any time now, and some that will be eligible to leave in the very near future. And that could really, at the point we're at now, at the staffing level, losing any more is really going to be critical to our operations. So moving forward, I think soon we're going to be hopefully starting contract negotiations. Those are on the horizon, and the deputy and I have talked it over at length. But I think it's imperative that we address these issues both to attract potential candidates and to address officer retention and the safety of our officers in the community. So we're going to have to look at that during contract negotiations and hopefully use some incentives to try to get us some more help here. I'll keep you advised as how we progress in hiring a certified officer. But in the meantime, if you agree, I think we should also probably open it back up to non-certified officers too, and get the ball rolling both ways. And because we haven't been having much luck either way, so I think we need to move forward with getting somebody on board.
I've noticed in a number of departments when they post a listing, they don't have a closing date. It's open until filled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would consider that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. We just keep renewing
Okay.
it. Yeah, I keep upping it. 'Cause
Without
like
having
now
a
it's,
deadline, just.
due for
you know,
March 31st and out. I
and-
mean,
We
May
need to fill it,
31st.
so whenever.
Yeah, we just keep re-upping it. Yeah. As long as we have vacancies. Once we're filled, then we can stop. So I'll open it up again to keep the certified, for certified officer request, and open it up again to, for new recruit applicants as well.
Is that the non-certified, chief?
I'm sorry.
The when you say when you said non-certified, open it up to non-certified. What's the,
So that would mean that would end up being a new recruit that would have to go to the
Okay.
police academy. And and it really, that would probably be a good thing to get some young
right,
blood in the department.
That does
The only
help the short
drawback
term.
is it takes
takes
a time
on
to
the
fill
job.
those, yeah.
You're still gonna be shorthanded. Problem is,
Yeah, we're gonna be shorthanded, getting that.
till they get
we'll be
through.
shorthanded. But just, we're not moving forward with anybody yet anyway, so.
So people that are currently working as federal law enforcement, obviously they don't go through post because that's a state certification. How do they have the ability to be certified?
Yeah, we'd have to see what they, what certification they have, and then run that by post, and they would have to see if it's comparative or not, or if they might need some that are not. I'm not, federal certification might be different, I'm sure it's different than state certification.
I'm wondering if there's any parallel that they can just be waived in.
Yeah, I don't know,
Like
something we could
FBI.
look into it. Yeah, we'd have to check, we haven't had any applicants for that, but we.
Or maybe
certainly
they don't
check.
think they can do it, that's why.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I can check on that and see, I'm not.
I'm just thinking because if they're retiring from the federal government, they get a separate pension, they're not limited to the MERS pension.
Yeah.
They still call MERS?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So they can, that's the financial incentive.
No, I will check about the comparative compliance on that, let you know. Hiring status, and the last topic I had, I just wanted to, in your package, you received copies of several letters of recognition and commendation, which I issued to several of our sergeants and officers for various exemplary well-done investigations, which I'd like to formally acknowledge for the record. Detective Iannucci and Detective Luzzi for their prompt, comprehensive fraud investigation. In an online attempted theft of more than $97,000 from a resident's bank account, they were able to freeze that account and have the funds all retransferred back into the complainant's account. So that worked out well. That was something that had to be done quickly. It was all involved cryptocurrency.
And who were those detectives you said?
That was Detective Iannucci and Detective Luzzi.
Thank you.
Then we had Sergeant Pedalino, Officer Donati, Officer Lally, and Officer Prentice for their investigation of a motor vehicle accident that occurred during the overnight hours in which the occupants all fled from the offending vehicle, which had been stolen out of New Haven, and their combined efforts resulted in the apprehension of the suspects hiding in the area, and then 2 additional suspects being identified and arrested shortly thereafter. Recognized Sergeant Capiello, Detectives Iannucci, Detective Luzzi, and Officer Sapione, our school resource officer, for their expeditious, thorough investigation into an online threat of a potential school shooting that was being circulated. They were able to work collaboratively with the FBI, the RHPD, and the high school administration to determine the internet provider source, and they ultimately identified and arrested the person responsible for making that threat. Officer Capazzo for his alertness in locating a vehicle that was being reported being operated erratically by an operator who was observed to have facial injuries. His actions, he located the vehicle and followed it. The operator eventually abandoned the car and fled, running down through the woods to the Wilberforce Parkway, Triana Parkway. He was able to take her into protective custody and prevent further injury to herself and to the motoring public on the Merritt Parkway. Sergeant Capiello for his actions in taking a suspect into custody on Manila Avenue in New Haven without incident, who he recognized as fitting the description of a suspect who had involved in a forcible commercial burglary that occurred in our town several hours earlier. And Sergeant Rizzuti, Officer Joe Kubik, and Officer Joseph Kubik for their investigation of a motor vehicle accident in which several occupants fled. The defending vehicle was also a stolen car. And through their combined efforts, they were able to locate all 5 of the juveniles who were responsible and make an arrest on that. And to Sergeant Capiello, Detective Iannucci, and Detective Leslie for their investigation of a several-week spree of 9 forcible overnight commercial burglaries that plagued our business area, as well as the Upper Westville section of New Haven. Their collective efforts in collaboration with New Haven PD resulted in identifying all the persons responsible and clearing all 9 of the Woodbridge burglaries with arrest and bringing the Woodbridge New Haven burglary spree to an end as well. So it was all a job well done by all of them. I thank them for that. And that's all.
Nice job. Last item of the new business. There is wishing all a speedy recovery.
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second it?
Anyone object? All those in favor?
Right.
Carries unanimously. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks.